Hi BookTube, welcome to Jackie's Literary Corner. I am Jackie and it's time for a book tag. So this was a tag I literally just saw someone do this morning. I think they said that Bookables, Heather from Bookables created this tag. So I will look up her video or look up whoever created this and post the link to their channel. Damn, a piece of hair on my laptop. And I will post the link in the description box below for when you guys, so that if you want to do this tag, feel free to do it. So, you guys know the drill? Here are the questions. So, how many books are you planning on reading in the year 2023? And I decided to go with 50 books. I was caught between doing 15, 25, or 50, and I decided to go ahead with 50 books this year. And also in Storygraph, I do have a number, page number goal, and I just changed it first because and I don't know the exact number I put for that. But so 50 is how many books, and if I go over that number, that'll be awesome. If I don't, that's okay too. Okay, so question number 2. Name 5 books that you didn't get to in 2022. I'm assuming that's what that means, but want to make a priority in 2023. Now, normally I would put Way of Kings on here, but I decided not to and go with a different fantasy book. I tried to put big books from each of the genres, but I don't have a sci-fi here. Well, I guess one of them is kind of a sci-fi. But first we have a classic that was a purchase that was inspired by Steve Donahue, because he did it. One of his March of the Penguins videos was on the Penguin edition of this. Although he has the newer Black Spine one, this is an older Penguin edition. And that is Edward Gibbon's The History of the Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire. I've always been intrigued about the Roman Empire ever since my sophomore year when we read Julius Caesar by Shakespeare, which is probably not the most accurate interpretation there, but it's fiction and it was fun. I really enjoyed it. And I would love to learn more about the Roman Empire and learn the real stuff. You know, my dad has told me a few things because he does love history. So he's told me a few things that he knows, like about Caligula and some of the other Caesars. And of course, you know, Julius Caesar is one of the most famous ones. So after Steve Donahue talked about this, I decided to see if I could get it on Thrift Books. Now, this is the abridged version. Normally, I don't go for the abridged version, but I think there are multiple volumes, and this is pretty chunky of a book to begin with. So I'm okay with it being abridged for now, and I don't know if you can get his other volumes anyway, so there's that. That's the first one I want to read, and I'm thinking about doing in March, doing a Rome themed March, because you know the Ides of March, and this would apply to Mammoths. And possibly would be the book Death of Kings, which is the second book in the Emperor series. But I'm gonna probably start one of them in February. Probably this one. Okay, so next priority book number 2 that I'm gonna prioritize is Paradise Lost by Milton. So this was inspired because I really enjoyed Beowulf and Sir Gawain the Green Knight when I took that British Lit class. And this is one of the more famous epic poetry works. And it's about, you know, the fall of... The fall of Lucifer, his fall from grace, and then, you know, it like starts there, and then we go to Adam and Eve when they were kicked out of the Garden of Eden. I've been wanting to read this, and I did start it, but then I put it down and have not picked it up since, and that was a couple years ago. So I want to start it again. I might start over. I don't know yet, because, you know, it's very dense. It's an epic poem, so I possibly need to start over. I don't know. Maybe other people will tell me I don't need to, but I think I might. But yep, so I want to get to this one. Before I get to Divine Comedy, I want to get to that one. Okay, so book number 3 is a fantasy, and that is Ruin of Kings, which, again, another one that I've started but put it down because it's a chunkster. And like I like the idea of exploring what if you weren't the hero, as the tagline up top here says, like a character that, maybe is chosen for evil instead of good. And I actually kind of like the narrative structure of having two different people telling the same story. I think that's kind of a cool thing. I can understand where it would get confusing though. And so far I liked it. It's just, I get distracted easily. So, yeah, so I want to finally get back into this one. I did make a lot more progress, and I'm up to I'm almost at page 100, and I'm on chapter 13. So, I think I made progress, Okay, so then we have, stop doing that. Book number 4 is a historical mystery, and that is The Name of the Rose by Umberto Eco. And I mostly associate this book with Tristan and the Classic, because I remember him talking about this and why you should read it and what's so great, why it's such a great book. But I think I heard about it beforehand because I had bought it before I watched that video, I believe, where he talked about this book. And he just reiterated what I already, was more encouragement for me to read this. It's a murder mystery that takes place in an abbey where a detective is called because a monk was murdered. And I think it's one of those books, I feel like a lot of religious fiction works explore the idea of this religious order is trying to keep the world knowing this particular secret, and the character that gets killed in the beginning finds out something that they shouldn't have, and they get murdered for it because they gotta protect this religious order has gotta protect that secret from getting out and being exposed. I think it's one of these. I mean, and there's a library that, our amateur detective is not allowed to go into it. That makes it really intriguing. It goes by the different days, the hours for a monk's day. So it's a little slower. It's not as fast paced as like a Ruth Ware book or something, but it's still really good. It's just a little slower. It depends on what you like in a mystery. And it's Umberto Eco's first novel, actually, looks like. So there's that. And then the last one is the one that might be considered a sci-fi. But also horror, I feel like, a little bit. Well, probably more sci-fi. And that's Stephen King's The Stand. And this is the uncut version. The complete and uncut edition. And I know it already came out, or there's gonna be, I think it might have already come out, another edition that's a TV series of this book. And it's basically a virus wipes up half of humanity, and you have these survivors, and you have this woman that's a healer, Mother Abigail. She represents good. And then you have this guy, Randall Flagg, and he represents evil and selfishness. And the remaining survivors are divided between the two. And it's, I started reading this before COVID happened. But I think since COVID, people have either been hesitant to read it or think it's perfect to read. I'm kind of one of those people who's in the middle, but I didn't pick it up during that time when it was really bad, when COVID was really bad. But I want to pick it up this year and get back to it because I did make progress on the mass market when I had it, but I don't remember where I stopped with the mass market because I deleted it on Goodreads and switched to this edition before I could record what page I left off on. And a lot of times, depending on how long it's been, I like to start over anyway. And of course it has its signature short chapters. Chapters within chapters. So that's the other one. So that's number 5. So my answers for all the for all my answers for number 2. So number 3 is, what genre do you want to read more of this year? And first of all, this is not the one I picked, but I just thought about this one. Nonfiction is a genre that I want to get more into. Like, I surprised myself and really got into it last year. So I want to continue to do that. In fact, I just finished a nonfiction book. So I want to keep doing with that. Like I said, I want to for March, I want to read the history of the decline and fall of the Roman Empire, which is nonfiction. But the genre I picked to answer this question is sci-fi. And I feel like I'm always apprehensive about sci-fi because I'm worried that the science will go over my head, because I'm not a science person. I'm a more literary person. And I was worried that the science would confuse me. So I don't read a lot of sci-fi. But I do like the sci-fi that kind of feels more like fantasy than science. Or has it or at least has a fantasy vibe to it. But I do like sci-fi movies. And I think those are easier because you have an actor, a character telling you and showing you the science. And it makes it easier to follow along and understand. Even if they're using the technical jargon, you get the visual on TV, on the screen. With a book, you don't necessarily, unless you know what that exact thing that they're talking about looks like, you don't necessarily, unless the writer is so good they're able to describe what that science looks like. But there's some sci-fi I want to get to, like Children of Time. I want to give the Expanse series another shot. And I liked Michael Crichton's Jurassic Park, but I did watch the movie. I have seen the movie franchise before, so I have a visual for that, which really helps. So I want to get more into sci-fi. Okay, so, and then we have question number 4 is, name 3 non-book related goals, which I'm glad she said 3, because at first I wasn't sure if I would be able to come up with anything, but I did, and and these might be my only non-fiction related goals, non-book related goals anyway. So I wanted to get into other hobbies, because right now reading is my only hobby, and I do like other things. Like I said, I'm a big, for a long time I was a couch potato, and I like TV and movies and stuff, and I like coloring. But I'm a bit of a perfectionist when it comes to coloring, and if it doesn't look good to me, then I'm going to give up a little too easily. And, when it's a picture from a book that's very detail-oriented and I have trouble, then I'm going to feel a little defeatist about it. And, but I do enjoy it. And it's a good, relaxing hobby. And once I have coloring books, I don't have to go to a place to buy coloring books. I do, but I don't have to go all the time. And the problem is with, we have a bookstore within walking distance, and yes, there's a library, but then with the library, I'm trying to prioritize books so I can eventually return them, and then I neglect my own personal collection because the library books will take some time to read, depending on how many I get. So, and it, I finally got the chance yesterday to explain to someone how it makes me anxious when I have to keep renewing a book because it's taking me forever to read, and I'm reading multiple books at the same time, which I didn't tell her that, so maybe she would feel a little bit differently and understand a little. She was understanding, the person I talked to, but, at the same time, like I said, maybe she would be even more understanding if I explained to her, well, I also read multiple books at the same time, and I'm a slower reader. So I don't like it makes me anxious to have to constantly renew a book that I know is going to take me a lot of time to read, unless, it was a YA or middle grade. So I go to the bookstore a lot because I spent the money, so those books can sit on my shelf for a while. I don't have to return them. And the problem is, because I'm trying to think of something to do, I come and I want to get out of the house because I don't have any other hobbies. I end up using the excuse, well, I'll just walk to the bookstore, and yeah, it's true that I go in there. I don't have to buy anything every time. But, I'm surrounded by, I have all these books before me, so it's like, well, let me look around, see if there's anything I want to buy. And I always manage to find one. So that's not, and I've gone a little bit over budget this month. I keep doing that, and I gotta stop doing that because, so yeah, I want to get another hobby that's fun to do that I don't have to constantly go, that will prevent me from going to the bookstore all the time. Like, and I could color whenever I'm watching something, when I have something on TV that I've seen a billion times, or, when I'm watching a YouTube or BookTube video, or, listening to an audiobook, I can color. Or, I feel like a lot of people are like, it's good for if you're stressed. So yeah, I want to get into, I want to try particularly coloring. So that was the first one. The second one is, this is my goal every year, develop a habit of cleaning my bathroom or just my room in general regularly. Because it's a chore, so it's like, I don't feel motivated to do it unless my mom notices that my bathroom is not clean, especially, then she, because unfortunately, and so I want to, and maybe if I had my own place, I would notice it more, because it wouldn't just be the one space. It would be, and there would be more people visiting me more often, probably. So maybe I would be more motivated if it was my own, the whole a whole apartment that I had to keep clean. But I need to get into the habit of cleaning regularly. I try to set a goal for weekly cleanings, but that doesn't always happen. And so last year I did like a monthly thing, but even then I didn't clean all the time. So I want to, like always, I want to try to continue to see if I can establish a habit of cleaning. And then the third one is catch up on Star Wars and Marvel. I love watching movies and TV shows as much as I love reading. In fact, it was my priority before BookTube. And I want to, both the Marvel and Star Wars have stuff coming out. Like, I just saw an ad for, in March, the Mandalorian Season 3 is going to be uploaded to Disney Plus. And Marvel's always, still going through Phase 4. And there's all these videos about what went wrong with Phase 4. So, but either way, I want to watch it so I can catch up. I mean, the next Black Panther movie's coming out. And so, yeah, I want to work on that as well. So, yeah, I want to catch up with those big franchises. Okay, so the question number 5 is what is a book you've had forever that you still need to read? And this was one where I had a different copy of it, but I've had that, I got that copy when we first moved here, the year we first moved here, or I first came here, because my parents came before I did. I was staying with my grandma at the time, and but I ended up changing the copy. So the book itself, like not the physical copy, but the book itself I've had since I moved here, if that makes sense. And that is Pillars of the Earth by Ken Follett. Now, I did decide to walk away from his trilogy, the Century trilogy, but I did want to continue with this one, this series, which is still ongoing, I think. I don't know if he's gonna write any more books, but like there's another one that just came out, but I got a lot farther in this one than I did with Fall of Giants, and I think I was more intrigued by this one. And I did do, for the sake of, giving me confidence that I was doing the right thing, of donating that and not continuing, I did look at Goodreads reviews. Because, I know people say that, oh, you should, my friends would agree that you should try it first, because everyone has different tastes. Just because they don't like it doesn't mean that you won't. But, these reviews on Goodreads are pretty good, not professional, but they're decent enough that you can get an idea of what the person thinks. And if you if you agree with them. And then Ken Follett's books are chunksters. They are long books. So it's like, I don't have the time, and they're slow. The plots are slow moving. So it's like, I don't have time to take the time to read a good chunk of it and decide okay, this is not for me. And so I read through the reviews, read the 3-star mostly reviews, and decided, I'm gonna walk away from that trilogy. But I want to continue with this one. I want to see what's gonna happen with the characters, and I like the idea of watching the progress of this famous church being built. But yeah, I want to continue with this. Okay, so the last question is one word describing 2023, and I actually have 2 words that I just thought of while I was filming this. I thought about another word that could apply. Like the first, and that was series, because I want to focus on a lot of series. Like last year, I only made progress on one series. It was a trilogy, and there's a lot of series. There's some trilogies, and then 4-book series that I could have finished last year, but something stopped me, like either laziness or the fact that I couldn't get the next book or I didn't have it. But the answer I do have on here for is tomes. There's a lot of tomes I want to get to. I want to at least get to more than one and finish it. And like I feel like I need to focus on that, and that's why I'm going back and forth. But do I go to the library now or wait? Because it's like, I know with the library I'm going to prioritize the library book, and there is a series from the library, a trilogy that I need to finish that I started reading back in November, and that was the School for Good and Evil, the Camelot years. I just had one more book to read, but I decided, but it was around Thanksgiving when I was returning, like right after Thanksgiving. But, the women that worked there, they were all still gone, so it extended the closing of the library, extended a couple days right after Thanksgiving, which I understand that. It was just a little frustrating when I go all the way up there with my bag of books, my library books, and then it turns out it's closed, and then I ended up having to just give them all to them, and didn't get to, try one of the books that I wanted to try, because I had to return them all, which I probably could check it out again another time. But that also meant I didn't get to finish the Camelot years. So in that case, I could have finished it, and I didn't. But that would take priority. But then I just got, I was commenting on a video for the trailer of My Name is Otto, or what, A Man Called Otto, which is based on Frederick Bachman's A Man Called Uwe, and that might be the only Bachman book I'm interested in reading. I'm tempted to read, because the other one is it's too heavy for me. That one that's a trilogy about the woman gets raped by a hockey player. That's just too much. And then the other one is just a little too close to home. The other one I've heard a lot about, which is and I don't want to, but I am interested in A Man Called Uwe, and people, when I comment on the video for the trailer for the American version of that, people said, oh, you gotta read the book. So now I got the book on my mind and thinking about reading it. And then there's one more book I'm considering checking out Emily Henry's books. I don't know yet. Maybe for February. But anyway, but because I want to focus on tomes and series and the books I already have on my shelf, it's like, do I go to the library or not? Because I know that when it comes to the library, I will be prioritizing the library books over my own books. And, and yes, like, it's something I can control. My library visits, how many books I get at the library. So, it's just, I'm gonna wait a little while before I start going to the library, but I want to go soon so I can finish the Camelot years. But so that applies to series, and then tomes. That's why I'm reading The Physician right now, because I'm trying to get that done before the end of the month. And Fortunately, I have not done any reading today. I got sidetracked by the TV, and being on the computer, and how the time suck of creating that spreadsheet of all the books I have on my shelf. So, after this, and after lunch, I need to get to that. I need to do a little bit of reading. But anyway, so that is the New Year's book tag. Like I said, I will post a link to Bookables or whoever created this tag. I will post a link in the description box. And if you want to do this tag, it'd be kind of fun to see how you're going to talk about how you plan to start the year this year. And, like, what are the books that are important to you, and maybe what your other goals are outside of reading that you have. Okay, so if you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, click subscribe if you haven't already, click the bell notification below if you want to be notified when I post my latest videos, and I hope you enjoyed your reading and continue to have a great first month of 2023, and I will talk to y'all later. Alright, bye!